You've said yes, you're about to start your marriage. And now we're going to talk about the budget. Who pays for what? Welcome to my channel. If talking about money makes you feel uncomfortable, let me reassure you that you're totally normal. It is, however, important because it's a conversation that will avoid conflicts, tensions, and frustrations later on. For the wedding, it's unfortunately or fortunately one of the first topics that will come up for discussion. Whether it's with your better half or with your family or in-laws or people who wish to contribute, it's now that it's discussed. Most of the time, we tend to avoid discussing taboo subjects or sensitive topics. In this case, money is a sensitive subject. Unfortunately, if you don't discuss it, if you don't talk it through, this will be a source of conflict and everything won't just happen on its own. Nobody, apart from guessing, is going to know who pays for what. For example, who's going to pay for the wedding rings? It might be a trivial question. The answer might be trivial, but in many couples, the question will be asked. Is it the husband who pays for the rings? Does each person pay for the rings? Does a family member end up paying for the rings, just like the dress, just like the suit? There you go, these are discussions that are important. Why? Because once you carefully lay everything out on the table, you'll know exactly how much money you can realistically put towards your wedding. The very first thing to do is to sit down and have a proper chat with your families, if they're aware, to discuss it thoroughly with your future husband or future wife, to know exactly who is going to be paying for what and who's ready to put in how much. When you move on to the family level, because eventually it even happens a lot, the mother wants to pay for the daughter's dress, or the future groom's mother wants to pay for the son's suit. All these questions, you absolutely must lay them out. You absolutely must know who pays for what. Or it can be financially as well. A parent will say, well there, I'm putting 5,000 francs, 5,000 euros, $5,000 on the table for your wedding. It's important to know because this money, you're going to put it into the total budget of your wedding for all the future preparation and organisation of this day. All this, of course, without pressure. We're not going to go begging for money from the family, no. It must be natural, and then we avoid putting on pressure. The second is the perfect distribution. At that point, when you have the families, you'll know who gives what, at what time, and what amount. The idea is really to be as calm as possible without any obligation. You go with lightness. We try, because we know it's a delicate subject, but it's important to know. Either it comes from them, from the family themselves, who say, oh well there, for your wedding I'm putting this in. Or you could just as easily go and ask yourself, saying, right, would anyone in the family like to contribute towards the dress or the wedding meal? There's really... Keep it light. Normally, it comes quite naturally, but you never know. The third point, and this is one that's actually quite important. If a family member contributes generously to your wedding, that's great. Congratulations, but be careful not to fall into the trap. If the person helps you financially, even contributing up to 100% of your wedding budget, that person doesn't get to decide for you. It's your wedding, it's your wishes, it's your vision. It is together with your husband or your wife that you're going to create one of the most wonderful and memorable days of your life. Consequently then, it's entirely up to you to choose if the family member funding your wedding aligns with your personal values. Take an example, and this happens very often, where a parent pays for the whole wedding, but they insist on the guests they've chosen. If their couple-to-be don't mind. If the couple-to-be are in agreement on that, then there's no problem. However, if you are the couple getting married and you really don't want Auntie Monique, let's just use Auntie Monique as an example, and yet the parents have somehow decided to invite great-great-aunt Isabella as well, even though you have absolutely no personal connection with her, and on the contrary, you actually know this particular character and definitely don't want her at your wedding, then you absolutely have the right to say no. It's your wedding. There might be consequences and threats behind it, but that's another matter. All this to say that just because someone's contributing to your wedding doesn't mean you shouldn't decide. You are the absolute most important people on your special day. Let's recap. The first thing is to put everything on the table. Who pays for what? What amount? First, with your husband or your wife-to-be, define a fair split, not perfect, but at least balanced. And the third is to set boundaries right from the start of your wedding planning. If you discuss and establish the budget really early on in your wedding planning, I can personally guarantee you that you'll really avoid tensions, misunderstandings, and unnecessary breakdowns in communication for the rest of your wedding planning. The budget is, I'd say, setting a realistic budget is the absolute cornerstone to getting everything for your wedding off properly. Why? Because once you have your total budget figure, you can proceed with making all the necessary bookings, whether it's the venue, the caterer, the various other essential suppliers, or even the direction for the wedding dress, haute couture if necessary. But it's the whole budget that will serve as the primary framework to guide your wedding planning for the rest of the process. I'll see you very soon in more videos.